This is Walter Leite, and in this presentation we'll talk about cognitive interviewing for survey pretesting. The purpose of cognitive interviews is to explore how respondents understand, interpret, and answer questions. By examining the mental process response uses, we can identify problems that may not be obvious through other methods such as expert review or pilot testing. Cognitive interviews allows us to improve the wording, structure, and clarity of our questions. Cognitive interviewing helps us gather a wide range of information about how respondents interact with our questions. We learn about comprehension, such as whether the respondents believe the question is asking what they read in it and how they interpret specific terms. And we also explore how they recall information and retrieve it. Are they able to accurately recall certain information from their past? And whether they put sufficient effort in answering the questions. In think-aloud interviews, respondents verbalize through the process as they answer questions. This approach minimizes interviewer bias and requires less interviewer training, but can be burdensome for respondents and may lead to them not saying everything that they think or straying off topic. There are two types of verbal probing. Concurrent probing, we ask information after each question. In retrospective probing, we ask information after the entire survey is completed. The advantage of concurrent probing is that they will remember any issues, but they may introduce bias because by probing you may imply that there is a problem. Retrospective probing, they may have forgotten about certain issues, but it will not introduce bias by just pointing out that there could be an issue. Scripted probes are pre-written questions used by all interviewers during the cognitive interviews. The advantage of scripted probes is that they standardize the data collection process, ensuring each respondent is asked the same question about potential problems. This consistency makes it easier to compare responses across participants. However, scripted probes may fail to address issues that only arise for certain respondents or in unexpected problems not anticipated. Spontaneous probes can be created by the interviewer during the interview in response to specific issues that arise. They allow interviewers to explore unanticipated problems and collect richer data. However, they require more experienced interviewers who can craft unbiased follow-up questions at the moment. If not done carefully, spontaneous probing can introduce interviewer bias and lead respondents towards certain answers. Here are some examples of probes. There are many types of probes used during cognitive interviews. Comprehension probes ask the respondents' understanding of terms, such as what the word manipulatives mean to you. Paraphrasing probes ask respondents to restate the question. Confidence judgment probes assess how certain respondents feel about the answers. Response process probes ask respondents to explain how they arrived at the answer. Difficulty probes ask how challenging it was for the respondent. Once interviews begin, interviewers conduct the session using the probes developed. So the planning goes through different steps. First, you identify problems and potential problems, and then you develop some scripted probes about those problems. Determine the number of subjects and recruit subjects. Then you perform the interviews and you do some debriefing by having the interviewers meet as a group to discuss issues identified, and that's the bulk of the planning. And then you revise questions based on the results of the cognitive interviews. Effective interviewer training is important for high-quality cognitive interviews. Interviewers must understand the survey goals, content, and know problem areas. They need to practice using both scripted and spontaneous probes. observing experienced interviewers participate in mock interviews. New interviewers can be prepared to perform interviews and receive feedback. It's also important to review interviewer notes and practice note-taking. Immediately after each interview, interviewers should review and refine their notes for each interview question. If the interview was coded, listening to the recording can help clarify details. Notes should be organized by question. The final step is analyzing the data through content analysis by question. This can be done in traditional methods or with software like MaxQDA or with AI like ChatGPT. We summarize dominant issues that consistently arises. The systematic analysis helps prioritize and revising by focus and finding the most widespread serious issues.